My name is Marco-Tim Vaanholt. I'm originally Dutch. I've been living in the United States for about 18 years. I've been a worldwide traveler for about 20 years. I've had executive positions at Oracle in the early days, Yahoo in the thriving days, and SAP before I started to invest in startups, started to help grow startups, and started to kind of build an innovation ecosystem throughout the world. My company name currently is v0.5, and what we do is we help startups grow. And with it, we help entrepreneurs thrive as part of our mission. I came to Silicon Valley about 20 years ago, and one of the things that stood out in terms of the culture that exists here is the ease of use to make connections. But one of the things that we definitely see is that making the connection is easy. Holding the connection for a long period of time is very challenging, because in Silicon Valley, the challenge is that a lot of the relationships are very fluid. So one of the things that I tell people when they come here is it's easy to get a first meeting, it's really hard to get a second meeting. So one of the things that I always advise our entrepreneurs on is to build long-term relationships with people that they care about and bring something of value. What we notice is a lot of times people, in the first time when they come to the Valley, they start talking about their product, they start talking about their company, but they are not educating the people that they're meeting. So one of the things that I always share with my entrepreneurs and say, listen, when you meet somebody that's either an investor or a customer or a potential partner, bring something of value. Educate them around what it is that you do and why you're doing it, but also educate them a little bit around the competition, educate them a little bit about the industry and where you think the industry is going. So make it an entertaining engagement model. Right? So with it, let me describe some keywords that describe Silicon Valley. When I think about the culture, the first thing is laissez-faire. I'm sitting here under the table with shorts on, and it doesn't matter how you look or what you look like, it matters what you can do for other people. The second thing is think outside the box. We do not like rules. We actually ask people to change the rules. Be the one that changed the name of the game, and so to speak. So one of the things that I notice with a lot of foreign students that come from Asian cultures is that they follow the rules very specifically. Here's the opposite. We want you to change the rules. We want you to be at the cornerstone of changing the rules. And breaking the rules is an interesting concept, right? When I think about breaking the rules, a lot of times I hear from people, well, that's how it's been done before, and that's how it's always been done, so why should I change? So the first thing is asking yourself, why should I change? Why shouldn't I change the paradigm in which I'm working? So what we see currently, specifically in Asia, is a lot of copycat technologies from the US market and the European market. Instead of just saying, you know what, this is how it's been done in Asia for a long time. However, I can change it. I have the power to change it. I have the capacity and the mental capacity to think critical. So I think one of the things that I don't notice with a lot of high school students from Asia is that they think critically outside the box. So what I mean with it is, what can I do to change the game? What can I do to change the way people are working, people are thinking, people are living, or people are actually engaging with each other? So a lot of times about rule changing, it is about thinking outside the box, thinking about changing the rule. And the first question that you should ask yourself is, why has it been this way? It doesn't make any sense. Let's change it the way we're thinking. When I came here as a younger boy to the United States, people are actually fairly informal. So the informality of the relationships are a little bit different. If you compare it with a stiff suit in Holland, or a kind of a stiffer suit in Germany, or somebody that comes from an Asian country that believes that they have to act and kind of work in a certain way. Here it's just more like, oh, let's sit down, let's have a chat, let's talk for 5 minutes, see if we can work something out. And that's very important. So this informality leads eventually to some opportunities. So It's all about networking. Another element that is very important in Asian cultures specifically, there's a lot of rules around how you engage with somebody that's older. Here it doesn't matter what age you have. It matters actually what you've done or what you could do for the other person. What I do think that you need surrounded, beyond your existing domain of you being a 16, 17, 18-year-old high school student is a good network. So one of the things that I teach a lot of my young kids is saying, listen, it's not only important that you know that you can be good at math or you can be good at economics, but it's very important for me that you're good at building relationships, and you have to either build relationships with customers, partners, investors, or your employees, right? So one of the key things that I think you need to teach yourself while you're becoming an entrepreneur in residence almost, is to teach yourself that networking is not a bad thing, it's actually a good thing. And working with others and grabbing somebody else's potential is actually very important as an element in the success of your company. One of the things I notice personally with a lot of younger entrepreneurs is that because they're a little bit shy, they've never been taught how to interact with other people, and they're afraid, about what other people think of them, that they have like a little bit of a higher threshold of engaging with others. The better entrepreneurs that I've seen actually have said, you know what, it's okay that other people think something about me. I don't necessarily care that much. I care a little bit, but I have a thick skin. I want to build relationships, because key to a very good business is to have incredible good relationships. Business doesn't happen without relationships. So one of the other key ingredients of kind of evolving yourself as a human being, whether it's in Asia or it's in Europe, for me, is very focused on building relationship as part of your curriculum, as part of your ability to engage with others, as part of you becoming the super entrepreneur of the future. We here at BootUp talk about is specifically for European entrepreneurs. They talk a lot about their product and the technology behind it, but they don't talk about this heart and the soul of what it is that you're trying to sell. So one of the things that we explain to people is it's more about the marketing than actually what the product does. So a lot of the things that we teach our entrepreneurs here at BootUp about is making sure that your sales pitch and your pitching is very important as an element in how you sell your company overall. So with it, that's a culture that's kind of inhibited, or actually inhibited a lot of foreign startups to enter into the market. If you think about it, they didn't know how to sell their product. A lot of things that happen here in Silicon Valley is very redundant, but it's also a little bit marketing-y, right? So it's one-line slogans that people really care about, because that's what's sticking. Because if you see 1,000 pitches every day, you want to make sure that the one that sticks with you is the one that you want to invest in. So when we relate 1 and 2 together, one of the things that I always say is make sure that you speak to the heart, and make sure that you not talk about the functions of the technology, but make sure that you talk about why it is that you do what you do. And that's way more important, because that's a story. So it's a lot about storytelling, marketing, and so forth. You can work hard, but if you don't work smart, you will never make it. So one of the things that I notice here is it is the land of redundancy. So you go through quick cycles and you learn and you fail forward. Failing is okay. If you look at a lot of the Asian and European countries that I work with, a lot of the entrepreneurs say, well, if I fail, I'm going to be looked down upon. Well, here it's the opposite. If you failed, that means you tried, and it means you actually learned something, and you move forward. So what we like as investors is that you actually say, hey, listen, I worked on 5 startups, 3 of them failed, 1 of them succeeded. That's a great testament for me, because it means that you've been in the trenches, you learned a lot, and you learn a lot more by failing. If you just learn by winning, then of course eventually you don't know what failing is. And being an entrepreneur is not about how many times you can win, it's actually about how many times you can pick yourself up after you fall down. So what I was taught at university, but also from a design thinking based approach, is to design from the soul, design from the empathy level. and set aside all your core beliefs that you've been taught by your parents and that you've been taught by your peers. And the first thing you ask yourself is, what do the other people want? What is it that they really want and need and change, and why would they want to buy what I'm building? And when you start thinking that way, it allows you to suddenly come up with multiple angles of how you look at the problem. So a part of changing the rules for me is also understanding what the question should be. So what I notice with a lot of people from that are younger is that they don't know how to ask the right question. So I always urge a lot of people to first do some design thinking. And design thinking is basically designing from an empathic approach, asking the other person why they would do something in a different way, and if they could do something in a different way, how would they feel? And then from the basis of feeling, you can create something magical. And then of course you go into technology and you build something out that works. The first thing that you should tell yourself is, I can do it. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. All the resources are available nowadays. What we've noticed globally is that the threshold of becoming an entrepreneur has actually been lowered. It's very easy to start a cloud service. It's very easy to start a backbone service to manage your company. It's very easy to use Amazon or other cloud providers to kind of set up the infrastructure that you need. You need less money in order to start a company. So you can start a company from anywhere. Three simple things. I would try to educate myself faster and better around leadership. When I was young, I started my first company at 16, but I didn't know enough about leadership. And leadership is not telling other people what to do. It's leading through others. So by asking them questions, you make them think critically and you come up with a better solution. So leading through others and learning leadership is a very important element in running a company. The second thing that I think that I would do differently is making sure that asking others to help you is okay. I thought that I had to do everything by myself, and so I didn't ask others to help me. I think now looking back that it's very important to ask others for help more and faster and quicker. So that's the second thing that I would do. Thirdly, I had a very good business economic education. So I knew a lot about finance and cash flow management and financing and so on. But I've noticed others, and it was almost for myself a little bit, if I would have known a little bit more about how to financially run a company, not debit and credit, but really on the core basic principles of running a startup, that would be more important if I look back. Leadership is a very tough thing. Being a good leader is for everybody different, because everybody has their own personal background, their own family background, and their own ethos. I think a good leader has a certain set of traits that I see in good startups. Good leaders in the better startups are in general good people managers. So they make other people thrive. So if you don't agree, you can say, listen, I don't agree, but I trust that you are the best at what you do. So one of the things I tend to do as a leader is not interfere too much. What I notice with a lot of people is they think that they have to tell others what to do. Well, guess what? If you have somebody that actually knows their particular material very well, better than you as a CEO, because you don't work in it on a day-to-day basis, you should trust their judgment. You should say, listen, I think you know more about it. I think you know that's the best path. What I will do as a leader is only ask questions in order to make them think more critically from different angles about the problem they're facing. So good leadership and good teamwork, and that kind of goes hand in hand. On the one side is asking the right questions about the subject matter that's at hand. The second thing is making sure everybody works together. So I often talk about the common goal, and setting up a few common goals as part of your project or part of your startup is an elementary, essential part of leadership. And then last but not least, I think that good leaders in general, as they progress through their career, they listen more and they say less. So they ask the more critical questions, but they don't necessarily ask all of the questions. You let other people lead. So the great leaders that I've been able to work with ask very poignant questions, but they don't ask questions all the time. That's one. And then the second thing is they educate the next generation of leaders. So one of the things I'm a huge fan of is making sure that I can teach others how to lead through my leadership. So being a great leader is also, and that goes back to teamwork, is if you're teaching others to be good leaders, they will become good leaders and your team will become a great company. If you want to come for an internship to Silicon Valley, there are multiple routes. The first one is through friends. And there's so many startups where people need help. If you have a particular skill and you have value-added skills to help those startups, and you know through friends that that's something that they're looking for, don't be afraid to ask. There might be an opportunity. Summer interns are very wanted here, and a lot of startups are always looking for great kind of talent, either to hire in the future or to have a good time with during the summertime to help with a particular project that normally would not get done. There's always enough work to get done, so there's a lot of desire and needs and wants for interns. The second thing is there are programs out there that kind of help high school students to be placed at startups, either through the government or through corporations. So that's the second way of looking at it. Thirdly, you could work for a big corporation and get placed in Silicon Valley itself. Last but not least, it's you look online, you look for the startups that you really want to work with, and you reach out to them directly and saying, hey, these are the skills I have. I want to work for you. Don't be afraid. No is a no, but yes, you can get. So I would always say, hey, listen, if you're really gung-ho about working in Silicon Valley, you got to take the bull by the horns and start. I'm going to give you 2 assignments. Let me first talk about the first one. Tomorrow you're going to go speed dating. Learn something about the other person that's unique about the other person. It's not about the work that they do, but learn something about themselves, their family, how they actually grew up, that can be a hook for the future of your engagement with that mentor. So the second assignment that I have for you is I like to work with people that help improve other people's lives. And we want to focus on helping to improve lives of people that have been less fortunate. I work quite a lot with companies that help those people, and I would like you to focus on it in your assignment or in any of the projects that you're working. I decided a few years ago I love helping entrepreneurs succeed. That's one. So I will continue that for the rest of my life. I love working with people, so I will help people wherever I can. Whether it's in entrepreneurialism or outside with projects that they're working on. I like investing in great entrepreneurs and investing in startups, so I will continue to do so. I decided a few years ago that most of my investments in the work that I do is working with entrepreneurs that also do good for society. And that's why I agreed to work with Young Outliers, but that's why I also have been investing in companies that help seniors, help moms, help newborns, and I will continue to do so. So I'm 45 and almost turning 46 in September, and I still think that I have to learn so much as a human being. I have to learn so much as somebody that has done quite a lot in life, but the sky is the limit for me. I'm going to change the world. You should just tell yourself, I love starting a company, I like interacting with people, The threshold of starting a company is already low enough. So let's go and let's start something magical.